Welcome, everyone, to another edition of the Ratitude Podcast. And as usual, I have amazing friends that agree to show up and be a guest. Have any of you seen that show, Between Two Ferns, with that Jason's, I think it's Jason, the guy from Hangover, and he asks really weird questions? That's not what we're going to do. I wouldn't put Trez on the spot here, but she's a beautiful soul. We met in the Dr. Joe world at a Neurochange Solutions training event, and I've been following her, and she's just an amazing person that is working with women. I'm not sure why she doesn't work with men, but she's been working with women to empower them, to help them manifest, to help them improve their lives. So welcome, Trez, to the Ratitude Podcast.
Thank you so much. It's such a pleasure to be here, and I'm excited to talk with you.
I am too, Trez. I want to find out, though, one of the things that I'm really curious about is how people's minds develop. So, Trez, I'm really curious how your mind developed. I mean, you're this amazing person. I mean, really an amazing person. And I'm so curious how your mind developed. Could you tell us a little bit about that? Maybe give some clues to our audience how they can develop their minds.
Great question. And I'll tell you, I've never been asked that before, but I would say my learning, my curiosity, starting when I was really young, probably when I first started reading. I was the kid at 7, 8 years old, taking an armload of books, checking them out of the library. And I was always gravitated towards this one section, which is, I guess, called the self-help. I don't even remember what it was called now, but there were books about the brain, metaphysics, esoteric principles. I remember picking up books about energy and tarot, tea readings. My background's Egyptian, so my family would all drink Turkish coffee, and so I would always just wait and turn that around or turn that upside down and read the teacups. But a couple books that really jumped out at me. One was by Uri Geller, and he was an Eastern European mentalist. And I remember reading about how he bent spoons across televisions all over the world, and through the power of the mind. And so again, that really got my attention. And then I remember reading another book about Einstein, and back then they were talking about how he used 15% of his brain to accomplish everything he did. And so to me, I knew there was something powerful in the brain, in the mind, that was beyond what we could see with our senses, beyond the physical. And so that's what really got my attention. And I think since then, I've just been voraciously learning and trying to figure out what is within this cavity that holds the key, the power, the possibility of our lives. And so I've just been studying. I thought it was all about the brain. I did decide at a young age I wanted to be a neurosurgeon because I wanted to cut into this thing that had this power that we had no clue about. But working in the hospitals, I did research in the pharmacology and neuropharmacology and neuroanatomy labs. I just realized I don't know anything about the brain. And really, it's not the brain that holds the key, it's really the mind. So I diverted my work, at least my academic work a little bit, into learning about psychology, neuropsychology, metaphysics, esoteric principles. Again, what's beyond what we can see with our senses. And as much as I'm a teacher and a coach and a trainer, I'm a student first and foremost, and I'm still learning and I'm still expanding. Every day there's always just another key. There's another image in the tapestry of life that I keep finding and seeing, and it's exciting. I mean, we live in such an incredible universe, and we're so much more powerful than we could ever even imagine. And that's what drives me every day, to learn more and to uncover the key and the secrets to true power, success, moving beyond our possibility. And that's what excites me.
Wow, that's so cool. Now, For some of our audience, they might be going like, oh, I'm older than 7. Like, it's too late to get started. Let me tell you, when I was 7, I was reading The Baseball Life of Mickey Mantle and nothing else. So I didn't start really kind of studying the things that Trez has talked about till probably in my 50s. So I think that you can start whenever is the right time for you. And that's what I want to communicate to our audience is everyone's on a different journey. And that's why I have so many guests on where they could talk about their journey. And yours is going to be different because all of ours are different. So just go for it, everyone that's listening here. But Trez, I got a question for you because this has always been sort of on my mind or on my brain, and it has to do with that. What's the difference between your brain and your mind?
Oh, wow. I'm not a physician, researcher, anything by any means now, but I would say there is a connection because our mind is not manipulated. I don't know if that's the right word, but we hold a body, and the body is the channel for, I would say, the spirit. And so we need to keep our brain healthy in order to access our mind. But our mind is bigger than our brain. And so they do work together. There are certain, studies that have come out right now about neurotransmitters and connection to certain feelings, emotions, drive, motivation, memory. So there is a connection. I don't know that I'm an expert on that. But we could use our brain just like we use our body, and we have to take care of our brain and our body to access the things beyond that. And so it's more of a tool.
The reason I ask that is over the last week or so, I've started studying Richard Rudd's The Gene Keys, and I'm fascinated by it. And just yesterday, he described the mind as encompassing your entire body, and that your body is within your mind. So every cell within your mind or in your body is part of your mind. And I've never heard it described that way. And that's where I was just curious what your take on this was, because, we're talking about mindset. You talk about mindset. I want to know what the difference between mindset and brain set is.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do believe that the mind is, again, it's like that spirit, that thing that isn't contained. And so it is everywhere and everywhere. Our cells hold memories. Our cells have the potential to shift and move and be, turn into something that is healing or turn into something that is hurting us. And it is all about those things that we associate the subconscious with, which is the thoughts and the feelings and the emotions and the energy and the attitudes that we have. I would say there's so much more that we can definitely learn. But there is I don't believe there is a limit to where the mind is and what we can do. So the body has a limit. We have, certain boundaries. It's like I know where my arm stops and, and something else that butts up against it starts. But with the mind, it's there's no limitations.
It was also interesting you were talking about Yuri and the spoon bending. And a friend of mine down in San Diego, her name is Marla Brucker. She runs a hypnotherapy school down there. And I invited her to come to a pre-track meet dinner that we were having for my team. We came down to San Diego for a track meet there. And I wanted her to hypnotize the whole team and so that they would run faster. And this was when I was a hypnotherapist myself. And then she was telling me about some of the things she's done. I looked on her website and she does spoon bending. And I asked her to do that because I said, that would be like really cool if you do that in front of the kids. She goes, no, I can't do that because people will think I'm a witch or something like that. But then we got into it and we talked her into doing it and she did it there. So I saw this live. Our whole team saw it. It was just amazing. When you see something in person, even just watching on TV, well, they could fake things on TV. This was live. I was watching it like 5 feet away from her going like, That's amazing. They teach us that. I wasn't able to do it in school, but this person was able to do it. It's pretty cool.
Absolutely, absolutely. And there, the mind is energy. And again, there's no limitations on energy. And when we tap into that, the sky's not even the limit. I can't even imagine what we're capable of.
So you are working with women with manifesting things, mindset, all that. Tell us a little bit about that. Tell us about your business. What do you really do?
Well, I work with men as well.
Oh, you
Um,
do? Okay.
My last book was specifically for women, although I would say there's a equivalent experience for men, so men can really learn a lot from that as well. But I call myself a success and spiritual coach. And so, really, when I work with my clients, I look at what their big dream is. I tend to attract clients who have some big ambition and they want to break through the barriers of their life and they want to reach something that to other people would only be, a pipe dream. Those are the clients that I love working with. And I help them remove blocks in their life, remove the ceiling, remove limitations. And really, depending on where they're at, we all have past trauma, we all have limiting beliefs, we all have energy that has affected us, that keeps us in a current comfort zone. And I help them create beyond their wildest dreams. And so, how I work with them is it's very bespoke, it's very individual because everyone has their own life that they're coming to the table with. Um, but the the context of it is all the same. We work on a mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual level. So mentally, what are they thinking about? What are the predominant thoughts? Because we know thoughts turn into actions and actions turn into results. What are those feelings, those emotions? Because that's a subconscious driver that pushes people to think a certain way, which again results in actions and results. And those are those things that have been implanted in people for decades, years, their whole lifetime, the programming they've had since childhood. We look at, strategy. I work with business owners, executives, entrepreneurs around the world who want to scale their business, create something new. So, are they taking the right action steps? Because there is a part of us that has to be connected to our physical manifestation, physical reality. So, we have to do things in order to accomplish things. And spiritually, are they aligned? Are they connected to their purpose? Do they know what they were made for? Do they know why they're here on this planet at this time? What is their path that they are destined for that's calling them forward? What brings them joy? What gets them excited? Because in my mind, whatever gets you excited, whatever brings you joy, whatever makes you happy, that's what you're meant to be doing. That's your purpose in life. And so when we do things that are against our purpose, we're swimming upstream. There's challenges, there we just keep hitting roadblocks versus when you're aligned with what's true for you, what you were meant to create and experience, then life gets more joy filled. It's not always easier because you do have to grow into a certain person that lives this big life, but it can be done in a graceful way. When I hit the edge of the life I've known, that boundary, that past comfort zone, it's uncomfortable, but it's also exciting because I know, all right, I'm bumping up against the old life. I'm breaking through towards a new one. I wonder what's on the other side. So that's what I help my clients do is really get aligned with their purpose and really start to evolve. I truly believe we're all meant to evolve to become bigger, better versions of ourselves. And so in that evolutionary place, we're supposed to learn and grow and build muscles. And so I'm kind of the cheerleader and the coach and the guide as you go through that. And also a reminder for my clients that they are greater, that nothing in their circumstances in their past determines who they are. They get to determine who they are, what they can create, the life they can live. And that's really my job. I used to call myself a life mastery strategist because I truly believe you can't be happy unless you're living in a 10 in every area of your life. See, some people will work on one area, like let me get a personal trainer and work on my body. But I believe that you should be in a career or business or vocation that brings you joy, that you wake up and you're excited to get to work and give your gift and serve the world. And in that vocation, you're making the money that supports your lifestyle, and you actually have free time to enjoy your life. And you have the energy to get out of bed and live a fabulous life, and you have beautiful relationships, significant other, great family and friends that you can share your life with, and you feel at peace, you feel whole. And to me, that's mastery. It's living at a 10 in every area of your life. And in a nutshell, that's what I help my clients do.
Yeah. You mentioned, and I knew this about you, that you have an Egyptian background. I won't ask the question, do you walk like an Egyptian? But I am curious because I like to study cultures. I'm curious what from the Egyptian culture has maybe permeated into your methodology, your process where you're helping people around the world.
That's an interesting question as well. I've never been asked that, but I will tell you, I always thought I was different and unique. And, my parents moved to America from Egypt when I was a toddler. So I don't remember the culture, even though I was raised by Egyptian parents. And I thought we were very different. And until I would say about 10 years ago, I sat down with my cousin who visited me from Egypt, and he was telling me about what it's like in Egypt and his family. And I thought, wow, I guess we're not all that different. He was describing my upbringing. And really what I learned is there is a hard work ethic. We're really taught and raised to give your all 100% to what you do, to your vocation. But there's also this joie de vivre. Egyptians really embrace all aspects of life. And so I always have the fear of missing out. And that's probably from my Egyptian culture is we want to experience everything. So if there's, a museum exhibit coming through town, my dad would take us, my parents would take us. If there was a symphony, my parents would take us. We were exposed to all musical instruments and all theater and amusement parks, and the idea of traveling was just so ingrained in us. And so really just experiencing all of life really had an impact on me. And so it made me think beyond my current circumstances. As far as spirituality, I would say that also had an impact on me because I was raised in the Coptic Orthodox Church. I went to Catholic school from preschool through 12th grade. My grandfather was a Protestant priest. We were my parents came from a primarily Muslim country. So having that diverse religious background, a challenge that I had in my life was my father passed away when I was 16. And at that age, I denounced all religion. I'm like, who is this God that, took my dad away?
Yeah.
None of the stuff I was raised of explained to me why this perfect family was just ripped apart overnight. I denounced all religion. And in my early 20s was when I needed something, some substance in my life. I needed answers. I was going through a really difficult time in my own life and my divorce and challenges and just getting through getting through my days. I started to do a search, and I dove into all the world religions. And I realized they're all saying the same thing. I mean, you look at the Bible, you look at the Talmud, you look at all the ancient scriptures. Really, it was a first personal development book, and you could find a lot about psychology and the power of our thoughts and beyond possibility thinking. I think just being raised with such a diverse background. And being exposed, I wasn't tunnel vision into one way of thinking. So I was always, I think, raised with there's more answers. There's more answers. There's more pieces of the puzzle. I think that had something to do with it. Egyptians loved to learn, and the combination of art and culture and science and math and um, I think taught me how to be open.
Yeah. So do you know how the pyramids were built?
No, and they don't even know.
No one knows.
And when I visited, I don't know what it's like now, but I remember when I visited, a few decades ago, they didn't even know the real entrance to the pyramids. They dug out a hole so people can go in, but the real entrance was never found. So nobody knows how they actually designed it for people to go in or go out. I guess you can't go out, but to go in, well, to go in to bring in tombs.
One of the things that I think I've learned is that the more I learn, the more I know I don't know.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so that, you had this curiosity when you were a 7-year-old beautiful little girl, and I didn't. I wanted to play sports. That's all I cared about. And so I didn't develop it till late. But now that's my word for 2024 is curiosity. I want to actually develop more curiosity into everything in the world that for most of my life, I just cared about sports. And that was how I lived and died, whether the Denver Broncos made the Super Bowl or not. And we've had 8 bad years now. It's so interesting when I meet people that have had that curiosity since they were just a kid. I go, man, they must be so mature and developed and know how to walk like an Egyptian. So Trez, what's coming up for you in the future? Like what are you working towards? What's next?
I'm really working on promoting my book and sharing the principles because I really want to start a movement with it for both men and women. And it's really about how to have, be, and do it all in this world, in this society where we're at now.
What's the title
And
of your book? Do you have it right there?
yes, it's The Modern Woman. Discover your inner sweet, sexy, badass queen.
Oh, a must read for me, right?
Well, I'll tell you the equivalent for men, which is coming out soon, is the inner kind, sexy warrior king.
Okay, that's me. That's me.
Yeah. And to me, that's the epitome of really connecting to a power that's greater than you and knowing that, there's no limitations in our life. It's connecting to that part of us that can make things happen on the physical world, that is prosperous and goal setters, and we commit and are dedicated to our vision and we're willing to take action. And the part of us that can connect with other people, create community, to give and nurture and love people around us. And finally, that part of us that wants to enjoy life, that sexy, fun, sensual, laugh out loud part of us. So it really does incorporate the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual aspects of ourselves for both men and women. And I create a really clear picture of what that looks like and how we can easily call on it when we feel like we're lacking in one area. So that's really my vision, is to create a movement in that. So how can we, again, incorporate all aspects of ourselves? And I'm really looking at also getting into more of the education systems, the political systems, corporations. I used to work a lot with all those systems in the past, and I went away from it to do more of my one-on-one work on a spiritual level because I thought, well, they're not spiritual enough. They're not going to hear, that they have to come with a positive attitude, mentality to create change in the world. But I think I've experienced enough to know how to combine the two in a language that works for these big, you know, agencies. So that's also my next step, is to really work with leaders in education systems and again the government, big corporations, to lead everyone into the next century. With we live in a rapidly changing world, and we need to incorporate ethics and the right mindset and being able to create success, but success that doesn't lead us down self-destruction. And there's a way to do that gracefully. So I really want to work with world leaders. That's my next step. So those are my two new projects. I just want to change the world. I have so much free content out there that I want to I want people to live a much bigger life.
Okay, so how does someone get your free content or your book?
Well, I'm lucky to be one of, I think, only in the world, Trez Ibrahim. So if they Google Trez Ibrahim or go to Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, I'm everywhere. You just type in Trez Ibrahim and you could definitely find me on whatever platform works best for you. My website is also trezibrahim.com.
Very cool. So we'll put that into the write-up on the bio too. Okay, so now you've intrigued me. I sort of want to role play, but I don't know if I want to put you on the spot. But my goal for this year is to connect to God, or the God within me, to the God up there in heaven, the God wherever God exists. How do I do that? So just give me the answer.
That's an easy question, actually. We're so bombarded with images, sensations from the physical world that if you want to connect with that internal world, which is where God exists, you have to shut all that out. So the answer is really you've got to shut all the input from your physical world. So that's close your eyes, make sure there's no music, no sounds around you, and just spend that time in quiet. You're not
Mm.
moving your body, you're not listening to anything, you're not seeing anything, you're just getting into that quiet space where you get into the void. And in that void, you'll find God. And the longer you spend there, the closer you get to it, and the more access you have to it while you are going through your day and getting bombarded with physical information.
It's interesting you say that because I've got a spiritual guide, Grace, and she's recommending that I go away on a silent retreat and
Absolutely.
just be silent. So I'm looking at it. Maybe. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm just having fun and getting to talk to amazing people like you, Trez, and picking your brain a little bit. And if there's anything that we could do to help your book and your information, we're here to help you with that. If you want to give some advice to anyone in our audience that might be listening, just kind of, this is your opportunity to, as we close here, what would you recommend or share with our audience?
I would say the first thing is start to dream. We stop dreaming after the age of 5 or 7 years old when people start bombarding us with reality of all the hard work that, and the practicality of life. And so I would tell people, start to dream. Just sit in that place where if you could have, be, or do anything, what would you love? And from there, you start to connect with your purpose. You start to connect with what you were made for. And then when you allow yourself to dream and dream big, no boundaries, no limitations, no circumstantial, boundaries, then study a path to make that happen. Work with a coach, like you or me, because you're a coach too. Read books, go to seminars, go to workshops, and start to think about or be open to the possibility that you can live that life. Because when you dream, that's what you're meant to be doing, living. That's who you are.
I love dreaming. I used to dream about being a sports star, and now I dream about going to the moon and talking to God and walking like an Egyptian, all sorts of things. I will hopefully, Trez, see you in Croatia. We had talked about you possibly coming and bringing some of your friends, so I hope that's going to work out for you. Thank you very much for being here. Sorry about the little bit of technical difficulties we might have had here, but I so appreciate you and the things that you do for our world to make it a better place. Thank you.
Thank you. Such a pleasure to be here with you.